10:30 a.m. by our studio time. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and thank you very much for taking this rendezvous on the program Talking Point over the airwaves of LTM television. It is another beautiful edition which has been announced, and just like you know, on this program Talking Point, we turn to create a parley to talk through and exchange our views, trashing out the different socio-political happenings in and out of the country. We argue, give out the pros and cons, and we are very much apt, alert, and keen to give to you the various analysis on the socio-political happenings in the country. On today's edition of the program, we have main topics. We are going to talk about the national dialogue, which has been introduced by the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, and is supposed to be under the supervision of the Prime Minister and head of government, Joseph Diongute. This national dialogue and the controversy surrounding it is trying the fact that it's supposed to start on the 30th of September 2019 until the 4th of October 2019. We are going to observe and analyze the various controversies surrounding this national dialogue. Also, on today's edition of the program, we are going to talk about the educational system of Cameroon, focusing on the use of whips and corporal punishments in schools. Does it have a role in a child's education? Those are going to be our two main topics of the day. And just like you know, you all viewers tend to participate with the numbers in which you're going to have displayed on your television screen in not long from now, or when it is the time proper. Every Saturdays over here on the program, we have whip smart and keen brains over here in the studio to participate and give forth their various participation and contribution on the various chosen topics. Over here in the studio, he has once been a guest on the program Talking Points, and he's here again, a militant of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party. Good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Jespanji.
Thank you, Belvian, and good morning to all televiewers. And I think we count on you people to participate on the program Talking Point, and in order to look some areas. So I think actually it's my pleasure being invited here.
Okay, you're very much welcome. I believe on today's edition of the program, we are going to fully analyze what concerns the country, talking about socio-political, educational, and why not talk about economy too?
Yeah, I think before coming here, I'm well prepared for that, and we have to give the package to the people, because a lot of people are complaining out there. They are confused which direction to take. Is it they have to remain home, or they move forward, etc. So I think today we can help to, you know, direct some certain people what to do in the days ahead.
It's right, the fact that you're very much alert with the affairs and eventualities together with the scenes in the present day society. Normally, as a tradition on the program Talking Point, you know, we always have more than one guest, but due to some certain constraints, our other guests will be part of the program subsequently or eventually. But now, I'm going to begin with you, Mr. Jespal. I'm sure you're very much aware of the issue the Cameroonian government has with the group Bolloré at the Port Authority of Douala. The various pressure which is being stirred up at this particular site. What do you have to comment on this?
Okay, talking about Bolloré here, Belvian. Cameroon government have no problem with Bolloré as far as the rules and regulations are concerned. We have what we call convention put in place, and the labor code, Cameroon labor code, whereby everybody operating in Cameroon is obliged to follow all the rules and regulations laid down in this convention. Reasons why we accept convention, because we have different sectors of activities whereby at the seaport where Bolloré operates, they do have what we call maritime transit and auxiliary convention. But then the problem here is, for real, I, coming from the seaport, I master the problem well. Bolloré, for one, is not treating Cameroonians the way the convention is demand. Take this point down. You ask any Bolloré worker if they have ever received what they call house allowance in their salaries, they will say no, and many other allowance. So for that reason, it is either they accept to put it in place Sorry, I won't give the name of my company for safety measure and equally not doing publicity. I do benefit house allowance, still working at the seaport. And then why is it that these guys, the docker guys who are doing all the jobs, they have been sent in different areas to work and they can't benefit? That's one issue. And each time these guys, they bring their issues up, they don't have good salaries, meaning the category they used to pay these guys oblige them to steal and, you know, carrying bags from one end to another. So I think Cameroon government just like called Bolloré in order, since Bolloré owns, I think, 36 companies in Cameroon. I mean 36. Because the idea here is, if you go to look at Izakam, etc., they are in their numbers, you know, Bolloré is the one concerned. We don't just want to like bring it out here all. So the idea, you know, for real, if French people can get out of the seaport of Cameroon, then I believe the life will change for Cameroonians, because one of the reasons now is because the guys don't benefit what they are supposed. So if you talk of Cameroon government having problems with Bolloré, is because they don't treat their workers the way the labor code of Cameroon asks to.
But if we are still going to insist on this particular issue, we know there is a court case which is presently in process. And according to the point of view of Bolloré, or according to the debate in which Bolloré brings up, his contract does not end until 2023. Maybe as a personnel at the port, you're in a better position to explain this to us.
Okay, thank you. Talking of when the contract would end, I think there's always a phrase whereby if you don't respect the rules and regulations in the contract terms, you know, one partner can get up and say, no, we can put a closer to that. I believe we all know that. So for that reason, let us allow the bullshit 2013 here,
2023, yes.
223. The problem here is this: Bolloré actually have an issue. They are struggling to move at the Kribi seaport. Reason being, they have already taken Douala seaport, of which they were struggling to move to Limbe seaport, and they have not been able because, sorry, I have to call his name, Fonjindam did a powerful job last time, and they look him as an Anglophone who was struggling to, you know, build a very big seaport at the Limbe, of which that seaport, they have stopped it up to now, but it comes to be the best because, you know, the sea level at seaport is more deeper than the one of Douala, which means you have very big bunkers who can even come at this Limbe seaport, but not possible. They can't reach Douala seaport. So for that reason, I think very well that if you look well, you come to discover that now that they have done everything possible to give it to Kribi, Bolloré wants to, you know, be the almighty in Kribi. There was this particular partner that was fighting with Bolloré, and Bolloré have to do everything possible for them to lock their doors. We are talking of Necotrans here, of which last year Necotrans locked, and today they are coming up with another name. Sorry, I must call the name Sonotram. But then if you look well, Bolloré, in reality, their problem here is not issue of contract. The contract is there, and all what is written in the contract. Sorry, we can't bring the contract here, but I am at the position of the contract, and I know what I'm talking of. Bolloré is not respecting the terms of the contract, but as far as we have to treat the personnel.
Just to insist on this very much, if this court case that was initiated since the 16th of August by Bolloré, the group Bolloré, do you think that, looking at the two sides, who actually has a place, who might possibly win this case?
Sorry, I think it will be very difficult for Bolloré to make it. Reason being, in Cameroon we do have what we call the judiciary body, whereby in reality Bolloré had the right to come up, but then the Cameroon government have a common point whereby every given moment, we are talking of Cameroon seaport. I mean, the international seaport of the country, whereby these people just come in, they think they can do whatever. You know, you wouldn't accept that we have cameras here and there, giving the values of good, etc. But they will always want things to do. They don't want to follow what has been put in place. So for me, for real, their points, they need to work on their points again, because for real, as I said, Bolloré, if Bolloré leave Cameroon seaport, it's not like workers. I know last time they sent away 300 dockers, and presently, as I'm talking, I know the dockers will be like panicking wherever they are, but that is the truth. They have the list of 1,800 dockers to lay out again. Reason being, they want now to apply the system to pay whatever indemnity and etc. and all the prims and rights of workers. But the thing, by so doing, they need to reduce some workers, remain with others in order to do that. By so doing, imagine if they put 1,800 workers out. You know what it means. But the truth here is, it's not like Bolloré is going to lock and they will lock the seaport. Bolloré is going for another person to come in, and the person is already at the door signing his contract.
And it's going to be functional by January 2020, this Italiano Swiss group.
Lucky you. I didn't want to give the name, but they are already at the door, and in reality, we prefer the English people to take that seaport, and there will be a change.
Well, we hope that we are going to give you follow-ups on this particular economy issues at the Port Authority of Douala. What is the tension that's actually stirring up between Bolloré and the Port Authority of Douala? I believe we're going to talk about it. This gives us the right opportunity to drive on to our very first and main topic of discussion for today, the national dialogue. The dialogue which has been introduced by the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, under the sole supervision of the Prime Minister and head of government. Various consultations are already ongoing from political parties, from different civil society, public opinions, which are ongoing. The theme of this particular national dialogue was being made public by the president in a tweet in which he gave last week. This dialogue is supposed to take place from the 30th of September to the 4th of October 2019 in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Now, there are various controversies which has stemmed in since this dialogue has been introduced. Various consultations are going on. Now, I'm going to start with you in this case as a representative or a militant of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party. What is the view of this party with regards to this national dialogue?
Okay, I think one, we at the CML level, we have an issue with the Cameroon government, of which I don't want to put it here. But let us focus on the issue national dialogue at hand. And I will talk more as a Cameroonian. I won't talk as, because whenever you talk as a politician, they will look that you are taking side.
No, but if I'm supposed to pose this little one, your flag bearer is still under custody. He's at the Yaoundé Central Prison at Konengi. According to certain rumors, I'm going to term this as rumors, they actually want him to be a representative of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement at the level of the national dialogue. I'm going to ask this from you, true or false?
Yeah, if actually he have to be in, then I think Agio Tabe equally is supposed to be. Anyhow, let us not go there. But then I think they need him because they know he had a lot. And I think as the main opposition in the country presently, it is by right to be there, not to be represented. So not by having a representative one. So coming back as a Cameroonian, of which I am, talking about the national dialogue. My question here is, how can 8 French-speaking regions come to sit and talk about the problem of the 2 English-speaking regions?
When you talk about eight French-speaking regions, I want to understand very well. Are you trying to say that these other regions are not part of the country and not participate in what concerns the other part or the other regions of the country? This is it's what I really want to know.
Okay, I think we should make it clear here. When we talk about the dialogue, the speech of the head of state, even though he addressed the nation in French. He was addressing the Anglophones in French. We accept it that way because later on it was translated, of which I pray that in the days ahead he can equally address the nation in English and then we translate in French. He was addressing the nation, he was addressing directly to the Anglophone. He said, the Prime Minister have gone round, he have done his works, and after his findings, he discovered that there is need for dialogue. And this dialogue, let us make it clear, we are talking of the two Anglophone regions presently that are having an issue at hand. And then the first issue we need to do here is pick the point and the issue at hand to get into the dialogue table with. Who is the head of state? In his speech, he asked a question. Who is he going to dialogue with? I guess we all heard that. But along the way, he said the Prime Minister, who is the head of government, will supervise this operation. And I want to find out if the Prime Minister is up to the task. Because some years behind, we remember men of God, they came in and they said they want to go in. They are the one who initiated this issue of dialogue. I mean the men of God. Of which for me, I thought the government would have given them that power, empower them to go in for this dialogue. With the fear of God, I think they will speak the truth. But now, talking about the head of government, political leaders, etc., who is like really going in to talk for the Anglophones regarding the issues of the Anglophones, given in fact that the leader of the Anglophones, I'm talking of Ayok Seseko, have been locked in, and all the others, I think like Mancho, BBC, etc., all those who were like fighting for the Anglophone fight have been locked in there. And then with who would this government do the dialogue? Is it like doing the dialogue to show to the world that there was a dialogue, or they are really doing the dialogue because there is necessity for the dialogue?
Well, if I'm supposed to spill out very well the various participants of this dialogue, we have politicians, we have civil society, public opinion, members of armed groups, we have spiritual, or we're going to term it Christian authorities, traditional rulers. So all these traditional rulers are also from the southwest regions or the northwest regions of the country. Representatives can come from everywhere. It's true that this is a debate that many people have had it up lately with regards to the representative or the various participants of this dialogue. Do you think it's balanced or not?
As I earlier said, if you look at the scale, for real, when we talk of politicians, let us like look at the percentage of Anglophones politicians comparing with that of Francophones. You know, the percentage is like, we can balance it, right? Talking now about the other areas where you talk about traditional rulers. We were not talking just about the traditional rulers from Northwest and Southwest. Because if we were talking about the paramount funds and the funds of Northwest, etc., with the chiefs, quarter heads, etc., and then I think we are getting somewhere. Because they are there at the ground zero, witnessing all the happenings, and they can easily bring out the points we are talking of here. But now if we talk about, well, that's the whole Cameroon, whereby we have 8 regions who are comfortably going to school, doing their activities, etc., and then they want to come in to sit on an issue that for the past 3 years, with some months now, they have not been witnessing. What would they say?
If I'm supposed to get you clearly, you're trying to say this dialogue is supposed to conceive strictly of people from the northwest and southwest regions of the country. If it's religious leaders, it should be from the northwest and southwest. If it's political leaders, from the northwest and southwest. If it's supposed to be victims, because right in the program, that was being made public. According to the participants, even victims, too, representative of victims is supposed to be from the Northwest and Southwest. But we know victims to find themselves in the French-speaking regions. We know about many victims who are internally displaced persons over here in the city of Douala, in all of the cities throughout the national territory. So can these people not still represent the victims at the national territory?
We are talking of victims and people who are there for the happening. Victims and happening are two different persons. Just remember what happened in South Africa. We have some victims of Nigeria victims there, but then we won't be talking of South Africa and then we talk of victims. If you look at the percentage of these victims in these regions, given in fact that you and I, we know, Cameroon government, the reason why this issue have been left lie low since 3 years ago, hadn't be it was in one of this region, let's say Douala, that happened to be the economical region of the country. Did you think the Cameroon government would let it be for a month? I think no. But then, due to the fact that they discovered that from North and Southwest, in reality, hadn't be Southwest was out of this, then they would have allowed the Anglophones of Northwest to do whatever they are. But then, for the fact that the Cameroon government knows that they have some areas like Sonera, CDC, Demonte, etc. in Southwest. For that reason, they discovered that the economic of the country is being disturbed a bit. So that is why they are struggling to call for dialogue. Thank God, the person who is going to sit as the head of government, if and only he have the powers needed and demand, of which, remember very well, when he was appointed as the head of government, there were other ministers that were already appointed before him, of which the law states that the head of state is supposed to appoint the ministers with the proposals of the prime minister. So, meaning he is some way how having some powers as the head of government. But today, in reality, if you look well with this prime minister man, I just want to find out if he is up to the task to sit in for this dialogue table. If you convince me that he's up to task, then we now look a way to fine-tune it.
He is the head of government. I believe he is in a better position to express what these people are going through, especially dating to his visit in the two English-speaking regions. He went to the Northwest and went to the Southwest. He actually saw the reality of the Anglophone crisis and how it has inflicted the cities and towns in these two areas. I believe as head of government, not only as head of government, he's also in a better position because he has a great mastery of this. He's from the Southwest. I believe we are all aware of the fact that he is a victim to the violence which is going on over there, as his house was being burnt down. That's in Ekondo Titi in the southwest region of the country. He is a victim of this too.
Thank you. So thank you, and I will come back again to you, Belvian. I think for real, where was the prime minister at the beginning? Who was the prime minister? Who started the job and who is supposed to end the job today? I'm struggling to make you understand. We have people like the lawyers. They had an issue at hand. Because when we talk of the dialogue, now I think for real, let us look how this dialogue, according to me, is supposed to be. We had the teachers, they had their issues at hand, whereby up to today, up to what is happening in Bafoussam, I guess we will get there. It is still something that happens to do with teachers. We have the lawyers, whereby worldwide, the lawyers in the whole country, in the whole world, they want to go in for strike. So what will happen in Cameroon in the days ahead should not be like Cameroon lawyers going in for strike. So if you look well, the lawyers, they brought up a problem. I just want to bring the Anglophone problem here. Their problem was common laws. When the lawyers went on street, they were tortured and sent away. They never listened to them. Later on, the teachers, they came on, talking about the educational system in Cameroon, of which, up to date, if you look at these two people who started the issue, I don't want to look at the common people actually who are in the field now. marginalizing people, doing whatever, being good or bad act, etc., etc. But then we cannot really get to those people. Let's come back to the genesis, the root cause. The lawyers and the teachers, can you give me their position as far as this dialogue is concerned?
Well, we have various, I believe I'm not in a better position to answer this. We are all aware of the theme which has been made forward. We are aware of the program that has been made forward. And in this program consists the various participants of this national dialogue. And if we are to get it correctly, many of the lawyers these days are either member of parliament or are either political leaders too. They are either part of a political party which are going to be represented.
Thank you.
Civil society and public opinion are lawyers too.
Thank you. We are talking of individuals here because when you talk of politicians,
if I'm supposed to get you,
where were these teachers when these teachers were going on?
If I'm supposed to get you correctly, Mr. Jespal, I don't think everybody or each and every person can be represented at the national dialogue. The national dialogue, if I'm supposed to get it clearly, is like a pyramid. It starts from somewhere that is going to involve the various parties until when it reaches the final stage. Now, in this case, each and everyone cannot be representative, because if you want to talk about it, okay, for example, they stated it that in at the national program, the participants who were supposed to be there, they said victims too. Does it mean each and everybody who has been a victim of the Anglophone crisis is supposed to be at Yaoundé, at Palais de Congrès, to actually be a participant at this national dialogue? Because if I'm supposed to get you correctly, it is not balanced.
Okay, Belvian, I will ask you a question. Let us get back to the dialogue, okay? Now, talking of dialogue here, can you tell me the problem of the Anglophone region?
You're in a better position to answer that.
So then, since I'm at the better position, I'm struggling to make you understand. The genesis of this problem was lawyers and teachers, right? So how can you be talking of my problem whereby I am not part and parcel of that dialogue? So in reality, if you look well, I don't think the government is organizing the dialogue to prove to the world that there was a dialogue table, or they are organizing dialogue according to what has, after the findings of the Prime Minister moving around. Because after the findings of the Prime Minister, schools up to date are not going. If you look well what happened with the speech of the Minister of Territorial Administrative, Mr. Atanganjipo last week, I think this week, not even last week, because the week has not gone through, in the Northwest region, he was struggling to convince parents that, okay, go back to school, all is well. Those people, you just have some small groups of people. We are taking care, we are taking control of it. Then now, look at this mother that was shot in that hole and then buried alive. Sorry. Oh my God. What an image. Then now, he have misled this mother to send her child to school. When they caught this mother, and by the time they were killing this mother, where was this minister who convinced the parents?
But let's also understand that with this particular situation, there are a lot of controversies, as the real cause and consequence of the story has not been known yet. We got the communique from the divisional officer, also communiques from different personnel. So in the Northwest region of the country, there are still so many controversies behind this particular story of this lady. Even the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, also made a release with regards to this particular incident.
So if you look well, in reality, we when we talk of dialogue, it is very difficult for Cameroon government to come and dialogue with the secessionalists, the guys who are in the field. That is true.
Okay,
but then,
let me just get your point of view straight this way. If you were to propose amendments for the already existing theme participants of the national dialogue, what are you going to propose, Mr. Jesper?
Thank you, Belvia. You are now at the point. I think talking of the dialogue here, please, televiewers, do well to get this. The first thing we need to do is the head of state shouldn't some few days back to school, sentenced Seseko for life. I think Seseko, since he said, I don't want to say he is, or we say he is, since he is the president of the Southern Cameroonians, I don't want to call the name Ambazonia or whatever, he was supposed to be part and parcel of this dialogue.
Let's go a step at a time. Let's go a step at a time.
You have Seseko with the cause, with the team, because he is not alone in there, right? Now, we come back to the lawyers. I think they have an organ. We call the lawyers. Okay, you people, you place a problem, please come in. We go back to the teachers. We say, okay, teachers, you people have an issue.
But don't you think lawyers and teachers fall under the big name of intellectuals?
Why should they fall under the name? You are asking a way forward in order to make the right dialogue. You get it? Okay, now, if the lawyers and teachers fall in, who fall in then for Seseko and the team?
We talk about maybe we have a personnel still who are still sponsoring. We talk about members of the diasporan community. They are also supposed to be participants of this national dialogue.
Those ones are athletes of the Anglophones region. Those are athletes of the Southern Cameroonian place. They are not the ones sponsoring or whatever. For me, I think in reality we are talking of something here. We shouldn't be talking of diaspora. And I believe even the head of state invited the diasporas in. But now, my problem here is who will be sitting in on behalf, those guys who are locked in there, I mean Seseko and the team, they have they have documentation, they have what they need, of which on that dialogue table, they are supposed to put their grievances. The lawyers, they put their grievances. Then the teachers, they put their grievances.
Okay.
Now the Anglophones and the Southwest, since they have been complaining about road, etc., and then the government representing the head of state there will come now put his own grievances. Then now I think the head of state, the government now, the general body now will sit and say, okay, these are the grievances. What is the way forward? I think by then we have started dialogue. But then by the time the people to dialogue with them are locked in there, and then we are forming a team of people who are less concerned. I don't say they are not concerned because you talk of victim, etc. People who are less concerned, you are calling them to come in for dialogue. In reality, if you start something fake and the result will be fake. This is a question. All the funds, they had salaries. I'm sorry, but we need to bring it out. All the funds had salary. Who paid them? The government, right? If we come back to GOs, etc., governors, they have salary. Who pay them? Governor. And then we come back now to, talking of the prime minister, the ministers, etc., stakeholders. They got their salaries. And now we want them to come and sit on dialogue table. Did you think, are you seeing somebody cutting the branch that he or she is sitting on in the name of dialogue? I think no.
Are you trying to say the participants relating or surrounding to this national dialogue are not concerned, if I'm supposed to use your words, less concerned? But I'm still going to go back to your very first point, talking about the wrong move of the head of state for relating to the sentence of the secessionist leaders. Now, the ball is already in the court. They have already been given a life sentence in prison. With this, the national dialogue has been introduced. What do you propose? Since they already have a life sentence at the Yaoundé Central Prison, what do you propose at this particular point in time, since they cannot be present?
Okay, I think, as you said, since they cannot be present and knowing very well that wherever they are, I guess where it is a continual battle, meaning they started from where, because this Southern Cameroon issue is not an issue of today. If you look at their age and look at the number of years we've been talking about the Southern Cameroon issue, I think very well that they can have representatives. So I guess, well, if actually, just like you said, If my president, the elected president, Maurice Kamto, can, if he is needed, meaning they can bring him out to go take part, then since those guys, they are political prisoners and Cameroonians, I think where if the head of state can also give an order, I don't know if the judiciary organ accept that, but if he have the powers to give a degree for them to be released for that particular dialogue table and they come in, I guess very well we will have relevant points, because it's like this is the file of the Anglophone. I have it here and then I've been locked in with. And we are talking about the file I have in there. So I think very well for me, if they bring them out or they ask them to give representatives, in reality, will look a better way forward. But if they just keep them aside, tomorrow, after they must have done everything, they will come back to their issue and say, release those people.
Okay, viewers, in not long from now, the numbers for you to reach us through SMS strictly will be displayed on your television screen. I believe it's time for you to maybe send in your various participations with regards to the topic which we have at hand today, or the parley in which we created for this discussion. Mr. Jespal, before we close this topic, what do you think is the importance of dialogue, one, and how relevant is this dialogue? Or will be this dialogue, or can it actually help? Because if we talk about it, they've always been wanting the need for dialogue. How relevant is the dialogue?
Okay, I think we need the dialogue by all costs. Dialogue is needed in this country. But now the problem with the dialogue is who is dialoguing with who. Because when we talk of dialogue, it's two persons coming, one, two, three persons coming to sit and have a common look at a common agreement. And for now, we can't give conclusions of dialogue without getting to the table, without knowing actually the burning issue. But I just pray that the men of God should not be left aside. They have a lot to say. I'm talking of Cardinal Tumi and the team. They have a lot to say, whereby with the fear of God, and those are people who have witnessed a lot of things in this country. They know some of these things we are talking of. So we pray that the head of state, the government, use the real people needed for the dialogue. And we think we need dialogue. For me, I am for that there should be dialogue. But then, the problem here is, let us use the right people at the right time in order to bring out a concrete resolution. Because if you look well in reality, Belvian, it is not the best in these regions. We cannot easily move in there or out as first. The economic of the country is really falling down. A lot of Anglophones have, a lot of people from ground zero have run in here, and a lot also are rushing out there. It will be difficult for you to see, out like going out of the country. So Cameroon, we are really losing a lot by so doing. If you look at the crisis we have at the seaport, if you look at what is going on in North and Southwest region, equally what happened in Bafoussam, I think we need to discuss on that. What happened in Bafoussam, if you look very well, you discover that the country, there's an illness that is taking the body gradually, and by the time, we should avoid that it should reach the neck, because if it reach the neck and take the head, then I think the country will be in a mess, because when the center cannot more hold, things fall apart.
Okay, all fingers remain crossed as we are looking forward to this grand national dialogue, which has been initiated and slated to begin on the 30th of September to the 4th of October 2019 in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. We're going to move on to the next topic of discussion. Remember, on Talking Point, we talk socio-political, we talk educational, we talk health, and we talk about each and every aspect which concerns the Cameroonian society and the African society in general. Now, let us talk this educational topic, if we could term it that way. The educational system of Cameroon, focusing on the use of whips and corporal punishment in school. The reason why this particular topic was made the main topic of today is because of this recent incident that took place at the secondary school in Bafoutsem, that is in the west region of the country, where a teacher flogged a student for failure of doing an assignment. This student returned home and reported to his father, who came back to school, beat up the teacher mercilessly, and as we speak, this teacher is presently unconscious. Beat up this teacher mercilessly, and this teacher is still under medical care. What do you think of this? This is violence in school to the second order. Well, if we're going to term it this way, I'm going to pose this one to you. First, do you think corporal punishments is very okay in schools? Like, should teacher beat up on students?
No, for me, I don't think it's okay. But then the problem here, Belvian, is two wrongs can never be right. I think I have a word I always use to my people, that a way forward. Whatever it has been done already, but then what is the way forward? Two wrongs can never be right. And that is what Cameroon is facing today. Like what happened, let us not go back there. So if you look well, this man who went and beat the teachers happened to be a uniform man, right? It's a military. And sometimes with who they think they are, they just believe in the society. You can beat any person, you can do whatever you want. Just like last 2 days behind at the seaport, precisely at Esenge, one military shot the colleague with a gun, dead on the spot, just because he was giving instruction for this guy that the guy went for on platform, on coming back, and then the boss, his chief said, you have to go back. And he said, but why only me? Come, go, but what's happening? And then they started quarreling, and at the end of the day, the boss had to shoot him dead. So if you look very well, sometimes we should not take these powers and go more than our limit. You just believe you can get into school. We all have children in school. We are sending these children to school whereby we need that they should correct these children. Sometimes, yeah, you have some children whereby to correct them, you need to flog just 2 flogs, not like really beating that child as a snake, to correct the child. But then if a military man finds himself in school now beating a teacher, I can say up to date because we don't know what tomorrow reserved. Where did we think the country is getting to now? But please, another issue I will profit and discuss about the educational system in this our country. Here is my proposal as a politician. I think at the nursery level, I said this last time, but it was not so clear, but I think this is the best moment. We should avoid this system of English and French-speaking Cameroonians. If we say the country is one and indivisible, just like the head of state said, of which it's supposed to be like that, meaning we are one. And being one, by the time you know this is an English speaker and I am a Francophone, there is already that problem. There's already that separation because I used a word last time that being an English speaker, that's being an Anglophone in this country, meaning you are a problem to yourself. And being somebody from Yaoundé, then you are one of the most joyful somebody for now, because we don't know the days ahead who is going to take powers, and if power change hand, then maybe it will be another region equally. So I'm just praying that our proposals that we have been struggling at the level of MRC to see that there should be a change is that the educational system of Cameroon, we should make it in such a way that from the nursery level at nursery school, pre-nursery, we should do what we call bilingualism. I said it last time that we don't have no bilingual school in Cameroon, no one. Because we talk of bilingualism, but we don't apply it when it comes to the fee. Because if there was one, then I think very well if the head of state wants to address the Anglophones, he will address them in English. And if he wants to address the Francophones, he will do. And if he wants to address the nation, he can decide this year to address the nation in French, and next year address the nation in English. And reason being, he cannot do that because from the base there was a problem. So we now coming today, we should not have that same problem whereby from the base our children cannot speak the both language. Because by the time we make a Cameroonian a bilingual Cameroonian, you don't know, this issue of Anglophone, Francophone will later run lost in some few days to come. Because one, when you look at somebody, you can't make that person out as Anglophone or Francophone because the person is bilingual.
Okay.
But today, if you speak English, you are Anglophone. If you speak French, you are Francophone.
Okay, Mr. Jesper, talking about corporal punishment and the use of whips and canes in school, you're a father. Would you take it normal or not if a teacher actually whips your child?
I use a word here I already accepted. I already said two wrongs can never be right. It wouldn't be okay for me, but I don't think the reaction or what is to be done is to go back, fight the teacher, or maybe, you know, two wrongs can never be right.
Okay, it has already been done. But in this case, if what do you think is the proper way to correct a child? In this case, this child did not do an assignment, and this lady actually whipped him. This child, on his reaction, went back home, told his father, who came back to school and reacted the way he did. What is a better way to correct a child in case he becomes very annoying or fails to follow up the school's rules and regulations?
Just to make it more clear that same man, that's the second time. You get it? Because now you want us to open that document. It's the second time he have been doing that. The first time the child went to school, they beat the child, they flogged the child. He said, I'll go and tell my father, and if my father come here, you'll see what will happen to you. You are saying that to your madam in class or to your teacher in class. It is wrong. Because your father have make you to understand that if they flog you, come and tell me and I'll beat them mercilessly. So now the child do not really concentrate in school or, you know, give the best he can because he knows his father is having uniform. Remember in those days when we were in school, I used to find trouble even to people who can beat my elder man. Because I believe every given moment, if you come my head, I rush to my elder man and say they have beat me, he will go back and beat those guys. But then I used to find trouble up to people whereby the person, I will beat, so I will look trouble, and then when my elder man will come and discover is somebody he cannot, he will now start asking me, but you find trouble tomorrow. Don't do that. So just an example to make you understand that by the time a father make it as a right that at every given moment you rush to school and beat the teacher or shout, and then the child equally will take it as an advantage in order to say whatever he can say to the teacher because he knows what his father is capable to. So for me as a father, I believe, well, please, we should, this thing is, we are talking here, last time I talked about orientation. And I don't want to make publicity, but we lack orientation in Cameroon. A lot of fathers lack orientation. Please permit me a bit. We lack orientation. Why did I talk of orientation? Some fathers are the problem to their children. Some of which they think they are giving the best to their children. Why did I say so? Because you wanted to be a lawyer and you couldn't make it, you said no. You hit the table and say, my child must become a lawyer. Who told you that that child was called to be a lawyer? You are forcing that child doing something, thinking you are doing it good, of which that child could have been a very good accountant.
Can we not turn it to the educational system and the job market in which we have today? Many parents see what is good for their children. We know about there are certain occupations or certain fields in which many Cameroonians were not able to explore in, except they have the financial stability to travel out of the country. We know about many fields these days. Do we think that the educational system actually reflects the job market of Cameroon today? That is the first question we need to ask ourselves.
The problem in Cameroon today, the job market, as you earlier said, today, some years behind, I think there was this Cure HSE, Quality, Safety, Health and Environment, whereby all Cameroonians wanted to be safety. Because that was the new, what we call a new profession that came in, and everybody was just like towards that direction. The problem with us in Cameroon, if something is new, everybody wants to rush there, collect, and by the time it is not, just take a very good AC car, and then you know, by the time the car is down bad, nobody likes entering that car again. But when the car was okay, everybody likes going there. That's the problem with us in Cameroon. But I think instead we need to maintain the educational system and make it lively. If everybody wants to become a doctor, who will now become a lawyer tomorrow? If everybody wants to become a lawyer, who will become a what do you call it, reverend father, pastors, etc. So I think for me, a father should not impose to the child. We have some institute whereby, I'll give an example like London Institute, whereby they do what they call orientation. They do orientation to a teacher, father, and child. Because sometimes, as a teacher, you just think you are giving just a subject, but you think because this child is good in your subject, that child will become this in life. No. The child needs your subject plus other subjects to become whatever he would be on it, right? For you being a journalist, you needed 1, 2, 3 subjects to become a journalist. For one to become an accountant, you need this not just because you are very good in accounting. You can read accounting, business plan, etc. Or your plans, you think you become an accountant. No. But then you need other subjects like economic, etc. in order to match it up. But now, when you, a teacher, giving just one subject, you now think you can impose. That's wrong. A father, because you wanted to be a medical doctor, you couldn't make it. You want that child to become a medical doctor. It is wrong. But if you go to these schools whereby they do orientate teachers, and then a child will just see one lawyer coming out of his gate, well dressed with good suit, and they say, Daddy, I want to become like that. Father, I want to be a lawyer. No, it is wrong. So a teacher is like a mirror in between the head and what is happening in the world, and what is the future holds to that child, because the child is there sitting there seeing the world through the teacher who is telling the child that, because maybe you have teachers who are wrong. You work in a company, in one institute whereby they paid your salaries every 15th of the month. But you believe that in Cameroon, it is every 15th of the month that they pay workers. It's wrong. And now when you start teaching it to that child that it is every 15th of the month that salaries are being paid, tomorrow, another teacher will say, no, it is every 31st. But now we get into the real document, labor code, to see what is written in there. So for me, I think in reality, this orientation, it is a problem to us. Because if you want to do orientation and you do it well, in reality, follow the people who are professionals. Because when this school comes into orientate, they will use the scripts of that child. For the whole year, mathematics, you go through it, English, etc., economic jokes, all the like. And then you now see what that child is best in, and then you tell this parent, please, you call the child and say, drop this, concentrate on this, you become this. in the days ahead. I think we just need that.
Okay. This other thing that serves as a preoccupation to many Cameroonians. Do you think that the job market is actually, or employment is as a result of merit or fraud?
I think Cameroon remain Cameroon. I think for real. I think parents are out there looking at us, and we need to tell them the truth. There is merit and there is relationship in Cameroon. There is merit and there is relationship. But even the Bible says you need somebody to be somebody, meaning you pass through somebody to reach somewhere. Example, me, wherever I am, you where you are. I don't think if you really talk of merit, it might be because you married or I married more than everybody on street there. But I think you needed someone to say, okay, hey, there is. But the problem here in our country is this issue that you need to cover your hand for one to do something that person. That's why most of the Cameroonians, they do believe on this issue of luck. And please, this is the simple definition of luck. Luck is a case where preparation meets opportunity. Luck equals to preparation plus opportunity. If you are not prepared, if an opportunity comes, you won't say you are a lucky man. And if you have an opportunity whereby you are not prepared to do the job, then you won't say you are a lucky man. Which means today, when we talk of merit, you need to prepare yourself, and then tomorrow when an opportunity comes, then you say you are a lucky man. But if we think that today in Cameroon there is no more merit, then in reality there is a problem somewhere.
But what can we term the frustration of Cameroonian youth these days? We talk about many youth who says it's a wastage going to school, or I've gone to school, I have a certificate, I have a master's degree or bachelor's degree, I'm still staying at home, I'm a commercial motorbike rider, I've decided to open a business up for myself. This is a frustration which many Cameroonian youths have today, saying that there are no jobs in Cameroon. Meanwhile, we have so many companies which create employment opportunities for many fit Cameroonians who are able to occupy this particular situation. So what can we blame the frustration of Cameroonian learned youth today?
In reality, I would appreciate my phone, the phone of Songwa, from Guadeza the third, for his advice. I remember one word this my honorable phone used. He said, take opportunity. Are you getting me? Mm-hmm. By the time you sit in what you call comfort zone, because a lot of us Cameroonians, our problem is when you start earning 100,000 and you can drink your bottle of beer, buy your plate of food, ride in a car, and then you think you're fine. And then that one we call it your comfort zone. But people who have survive in this country, you will discover that they are people who have done something extraordinary. That's why in business we said business is additional value. You people can be doing the same thing at the same area, but you need to add some small value that will pull people to you. So why am I getting there? You will discover that a lot of students, when you just like sit in your comfort zone, oh, Cameroon, what have Cameroon done to the student? Oh, I have done this and today. This is that person. You compare yourself to another person.
But is it not normal that when a student leaves school, for example, graduates from the university, has his bachelor's degree in hand, is it not normal that in the country in which we live in, he's able to deposit in anywhere? Let me use an example that maybe he was in the Faculty of Social and Management Sciences in the University of Boya, probably reading accounting or banking and finance. Is it not normal that he drops his documents in any financial institution and he is being appointed or he's been employed?
Okay, thank you. Given in fact that he is not the only one, and if you look well, coming back to what you just said, sometimes you get what I said. A lot of people believe on this word lucky. Me, talking to you, I don't believe that there's a lucky man and in luck somebody. Because when you believe that some people are more, they have luck, then you are a problem to yourself. I use a definition of luck like preparation plus opportunity. If now you have an opportunity and you were not prepared, as you say, some students will sit in their comfort zone, take examples to others there, that this is this person who was in university, he's riding bike, this is that. Is that person looking the same person who was in university and is a minister up there? Why will you look only the one that is not doing nothing, but you are not seeing the one who is pushing ahead? So for me, I think don't be a problem to yourself. Don't be a barrier to your future. Because what I'm struggling to bring out here, Belvian, is, for real, it is the problem with us in Cameroon, please tell the viewers, is that Cameroon government is not helping us as far as job session for job is concerned, because the labor code says, I'm a syndicalist, so I know what I'm talking of here. The labor code says you sit with your employer and you argue on your salaries. It's not that merit we are talking of. If you go to Gabon, you will discover that if you have bachelor degree, for you to work, the barème of salary is this. If you have doctor, professor, etc., for you to work, the barème is this. But today we have doctors behind an office earning 100,000 and 150,000. They are out there. Meanwhile, we have people who were not even in school yesterday, and they are earning millions. And this one is because of the system that the government have put in place to make Cameroonians understand that there is nothing like merit. Because if you have the means, if you have the connection, if you can argue well, if you can, negotiate your salaries well, then you can be paid well. You can be working with your chief, but you are well paid more than your chief. So with that one, now how will you now sit and say, okay, is it but normal for a Cameroonian just to take your document, you go and put, and they give you job? No, you put your document, X brings his own document. But now rest assured that the best system today again is this electronic system that we do send our CVs. Because at first, you used to take your CV, you drop it. By the time you turn your back, the person looking at your CV discover that your level is more than his, and he will now take your CV, tear it, throw it in the trash can before the manager sees it, because his position is at risk if he accepts to send your CV forward.
So can we not term this as corruption? In other words,
it's Cameroon. So we need just Jesus Christ to come and change the system in place.
I managed to get a questionnaire through many young entrepreneurs who actually said, according to what they think, the nature of jobs in Cameroon or the job markets in Cameroon, it involves three things. It's either you're financially stable to pay yourself to a job, or you have somebody somewhere who is, let's say, a godfather, like we commonly call it, who is going to be able to give you this connection, like we say, connection in the government or any other institution whatsoever. And thirdly, if you're ready to pay in kind. In this case, we're mostly focusing on ladies. I mostly got this problem from the female entrepreneurs who always say they get molested, they get insulted sexually and sexually abused in before they're being able to get a job. So these are the three aspects in which many of them, majority of them, actually concluded that that is the nation of, that is the nature of jobs in Cameroon, and that is why they decided or prefer to get into a business and become entrepreneurs and bosses of their own.
Okay, I will talk to you. Sometimes it's very difficult for somebody to say he's well paid, but I'm indirectly saying I'm a bit well paid, and I did not pass through none of the above.
We are talking about majority. In every case, there is majority. That is why we say, when we talk about according to or some, or a conclusion is being taken from a majority, right? If we talk about 100 cases, it means about 70 actually confirm that this is the nature, and just 30. Maybe you are part of the 30% which actually came out correctly.
Okay, so as you were talking, for real, sometimes my problem with the youth we have out there is this issue of comfort zone that I said, and not looking forward what tomorrow. I'm such a person whereby when I'm moving, it is advisable to move with your head up, like looking in front but not looking at your legs. You get what I'm saying? If you look at your legs while moving, you can easily hit your head on a stick and you fall because you are looking just your legs. But if your head is like this straight, you see your way and you know where you are going. That is the problem with our youth. They like moving with their head down, looking at their legs when moving. They control just their legs. They don't look the road where they are going and thinking of where they have to go and how straight it is if they have to take a bending. Why am I using this word? Most of the times we keep on complaining. Oh, this country have become like this. Hadn't be the time of Aijo, it was better. The time of Pobia, let us wait, but when Jesus Christ will come. I'm sorry, please. Let us sit up. In Douala, can you bear with me that in this Douala where we are, if you can stay for a day without eating, then truly you are a lazy man. Did you believe that with me?
It's the economic capital. It's very normal to conclude something like that because there are many opportunities.
Why? Reason being why? If you get up one morning like what I see some guys moving, sometimes when passing with my car, you see a guy. They will come in the night, remove stones that they put in some holes to fill it, put them aside. And then in the morning, they will still come back, take that same stones, start putting, and they hold their pants. You earn 100 francs, 500. Before the end of the day, they'll earn a living. You have other guys out there that they will come and stand at the roundabout where there's that red light, and they become policemen. They love that job, and they are not police. They just love
control
the job.
traffic.
They just start, and then they do it very happily. You remove 500, you give the guy. It's not bribing, but the guy is earning out, you know. But now, if you sit home and you say, Master, this
but
education...
Mr. Jesper, can we really compare it to somebody who actually spent sleepless nights trying to get good grades, getting a certificate, and then how would you feel if you left school, you have a certificate, and you find yourself one of those who control traffic accidents or controlling traffic lights in the city?
Voila. That is the problem here. I think the problem going back there is other people. Going to school is another one. And then creating relationship. The most richest person on earth is not the amount of money you have, but the people, your entourage. Did you get that with me?
Wealth is entourage?
I mean, the people you mingle yourself with, you live with. If you decide to be a drinking type, remember the day you die, drunkards will come and bury you. I don't know if you get my point. Any single franc you have, you'll be moved to go and give it there in the off license, collect drinks, and then you move. But then, if you think of being somebody, you'll be walking towards where you are thinking to. So for me, I think very well, most of those guys doing traffic control, etc., are guys whereby in school, their pens were so heavy. They went to learn a trade. They went maybe for mechanic job. The spanner equally was so heavy. And then the try farming, the cutlass and hose were so heavy. So what did he think he can do? He said, either steal from you, put in his pocket, or he goes at the street there doing odd jobs in order. You won't see somebody for real that you know very well, you have your CV, a very rich, because a man, you need a rich CV. And then if you have a rich CV, what you need is just the person comes to you, Belvian, please for 1,000 francs. He multiply those CVs, out there, drop them.
The real problem is you're talking about a CV being rich. How does a CV become rich if you don't have the possible work experience? When we talk about what am I going to say? When we talk about the weight, thank you very much, I got the word. When you talk about the weight of a CV, what does it mean? We're talking about the work experience, right? We don't talk about the number of degrees in which we have. There are certain jobs that you want to apply and they tell you need at least 4 years of working experience. Where do we get this 4 years of working experience, or where do they get 4 years of working experience if they are not given a possible platform to explore what they learned in school? That is the real problem.
Yeah, that is, as you earlier said, work Work experience is another one, but then I believe, well, you need to start somewhere in order to have experience, right? And that's why today students do go for internship. I guess you know that.
Yeah.
In companies, in order to acquire some knowledge.
And voluntary services.
And voluntary services, reason being, they want to, have a CV that is rich, that I did my internship in Adas, Cameroon. I did my internship, etc. Let's not be calling names and doing their publicity for free. So you come to discover that if you have other students whereby these holidays, they did about internship in 2 different companies. And you have others who did one. Others did not even do
at all.
They decide to go and do something like selling or do odd jobs that will enable them to have some money for back to school. Okay, now tomorrow, don't you think anything you do today, it will not fail you tomorrow? Did you believe on that? That all what you do today and you do it well, it won't fail you tomorrow? I said it to somebody. If you want to become a thief, do your job and you do it well. And if you want to be a bad man, do it and do it well. If you want to be a good man, do it well. So if you decide you want to do everything at a time, no, you do this, and then you are a problem to yourself. For me, I think if we talk of rich CV, you have gone to schools. Okay, just for now, if today they launch, we need somebody with whatever degree, and then you see one child just come with a certificate that he have schooled in Dominique Savio. What are you expecting? They will valid quick. They will not even look about that experience. Sometimes also we parents, it depends the schools we send our children, even those our means limit make us not to. But then I think the best you can do today is to give what you couldn't have yesterday to your child to move on.
Okay, it's very, very important. I believe you all viewers knew you had the chance to participate with the numbers in which you had on your television screen, strictly SMS. This gives us the opportunity to take certain messages which we have over here. Greetings to you in the studio. For a concrete dialogue to happen in this country, all the people arrested in the hands of this crisis should be released, and with that, I think the crisis will come to an end. It is by Crispus from Bamenda. Thank you very much. Hello, this is Noel that my father has spoken. Okay, what he is saying is right. I support him. I believe it's you, Mr. Jesper. We take this one. He says, please, would you try to be serious and must confess that it is not with regards to the task of the debate. I really cannot get this message clearly. Since it is a national dialogue and considering the fact that the Northwest and Southwest crisis, all the Southern Cameroon leaders should be present at the dialogue table. It is Paul from Douala. Thank you very much. We take this one. He says, the father of the child could have killed the teacher, even if could have killed the teacher even. It's very funny to see the teachers nowadays beating up a child because of an assignment. It is not the issue of military men. Even civilians too do beat up teachers. When you talk about military men, it's like all military men are bad. They do their work and they need to respect them. Madam, good morning to you all in the studio, and to my brother. I wish to say the dialogue is not between the Anglophones, Francophones, and government. It is an inclusive dialogue between the Anglophones and the government without the Francophones. It is Daddy A from Douala. Thank you very much. We take this one. It says, good morning to you all. I am Latis Menji and a student. For the point that a teacher have the right to punish his students in class for failures to do an assignment, and the father is very wrong no matter his position, and also it's fail not to follow up the child at home. It's too bad for any parents. Please, it's strictly SMSs and no calls. We take this one. He says, we Anglophones, or let's start with this, all Cameroonians have equal rights to be there at the dialogue problem, because they also have problems, and equally No calls, please. And equally as what you call Anglophone crisis, which I call Cameroonian crisis, what were we thinking of? That is because we've decided to destroy our own regions. Others would have stopped living. We Anglophones have problems. We think we are only Cameroonians, so we should not be selfish and start thinking of other issues. We are just two regions in Cameroon, and it's not because other Cameroonians have not taken arms that they are not capable or they don't have problems. And these Anglophones are Francophones issue should stop. We are Cameroonians. It is signed in deep. Thank you very much. We take this one. It says two victims. It's Andre. That was all we got. Good morning, brother. Listen, except you want to divorce someone, I think this has nothing to do with our topic of discussion. If the governments follow your advice, they will stand. But if not, Jesus is going to come again. Thank you very much. Good morning, Belvian. Where is our country going to? It baffles me when we keep making a fool of ourselves. How can we be talking of dialogue when the right people who are supposed to be in it are behind bars? Something is wrong somewhere. Let's pray for Cameroon. It's William from Kong Samba. Thank you very much. Good morning to you all in the studio. I am Frank from Bamenda. Corporal punishment is necessary, but it should be done responsibly. When you bend the rod, when it is hot, either by advice or corporal techniques, when you look at those days, schools were very disciplined and students were decent, as parents could even give teachers instructions to punish their kids to bring them back to order. We should know teachers act like their second parents to the mid, as well as spend more time with teachers and even their real parents. We should regard teachers and give them respect, as in the case of the Bible. A teacher can't punish a kid for hatred, but because of corrections. I believe you share his point of view. Who beats up the teacher in Bafusam should be sentenced without even judgment. Those are the people rubbishing our country. It's Frank from Bamenda. Thank you very much. Hi to the panel. For dialogue to happen and to be effective, consequences to bring up peace and economic development, the dialogue should be based on the domain, because politics emerges from those two. Moreover, its point should be that which will enhance a positive change at every levels of life. Let the revolutions around the world, like a peaceful and glorious revolution in England and development of Britain, be a reference to our country. Thanks, it's Walter and Geke from Douala. Too many messages. It's very difficult to take all at a time. There are so many messages. I believe before we finally close the curtains, we can lightly talk about this issue of accidents in Cameroon. Can we term the accident in Cameroon from the nature of our roads, the technical situation of vehicles, or the carelessness of drivers? Especially if we date to the recent report that was released in April 2019 by the Ministry of Transport. It stated that 60% of deaths in Cameroon is caused by accidents. What is the real cause of accidents in Cameroon?
I think the cause of accident in Cameroon is Cameroonians are not aware with the road signs. And I'm really surprised. Thank you for this particular topic, Belvian. I'm really surprised with what a very big company like Satom, after doing whatever job they have done in Cameroon, I don't know if the roads equally that's what they were supposed to, or they have done something else. So if you look well, the problem here is we don't have good roads. And remember, there was a song one musician sing and say, "La route ne tue pas, mais c'est nous qui tuerons," which means road will not kill, but we kill ourselves. So one of the things in Cameroon is, when it is good, we give glory to the government in place, and if it is bad, we equally point fingers. Because sometimes these leaders, they are so disturbed because everything will go back to them. We don't have good driving schools in Cameroon. And one, you have people in the quarter whereby they issue driver's license to drivers. And you can just take your young man, start teaching him, and then by the time he can hold steering, you do a driving license and give it to him. This guy do not know what we call signs. When I talk of Satom here, I will come back to all the roundabouts we have in Douala so far. And I would like the City Council to take this point because I don't know if somebody have bring it up before. It is impossible that if you come to a roundabout, you will look all the entrance. Let's say we have 4 entrances. All the 4 entrances you have passway that let pass, because there is a sign. If you see this pyramid, that's this the pyramid sign. If they turn it upside down in driving technique or safety defensive driving or drive smart, we call it céder le passage in French. Let me bring it well. It is very difficult to come to like a roundabout. You come at this entrance, you put céder le passage, the other one céder le passage, other one céder le passage. At the end of the day, who is giving way to who? I'm talking this to this company working. This issue is supposed to be at the 2 entrance and then the 2 main sub-entrance and then the main ones pass. Meaning this person will let that person to pass. So you come with all these signs, and when we see wrong signs, we apply them wrongly, and then we see accidents happening. That's one case. The other case here is if you look at the case of accidents, you have drunkenness.
That
Most
is
of
the
cases,
carelessness of drivers?
Yeah. Most of the cases are on Monday or Sundays night. You have sleeplessness. If you don't sleep well before you get on your steering, there's probability for you to. There was one debate whereby I took part. It's like a company was insisting that a worker who came from Douala driving this transport bus, he came from Douala and they asked him to load and go back without having his rest. And he was doing that in the name of what we call OT, overtime. That's trying to have more job and then more money. But then the risks of the people, the life of the people you are transporting. So sometimes this agency, people who own agency are the cause because they don't follow the rules and regulations of driving. For you to put somebody on the street to drive, that person needs to have enough sleep, enough rest, and then you take it. And then you have the journey you must, even in the office. You see, a lot of people do have problems of nerves because when you sit, like in an office, when you sit for a while, a sign will just come on your desktop and you say you move, you make about 15 minutes before you come. The same with driver. You don't need to drive a long distance without having enough rest just because you want to meet up. So if we come to discover the issue of accident here in Cameroon, we have the issue of drivers who are not well trained. We don't have good driving schools. The signs, we don't have signs at the road whereby you put here that at this distance there is an entrance, there is a school, there is a bending corner, etc. We don't have them. And then we have wrong signs like at the roundabout whereby Satom should go back and remove that they are céder le passage and put it the way it's supposed to be, and like in other countries. And then we have this issue of convoy. A lot of cars, they don't know how to do convoy. When you do convoy, a car will just come, whoop, you don't know the signs of convoy, they don't know if they need to put their headlamp, double travegators. Lucky I had to do safety. I'm a safety officer, so I master when we come to safety. So in reality, talking about driving, drivers need to know the safe driving distance, of which in Douala we don't respect it. Sometimes I tried respecting it, but I discovered that if you want to respect safe driving distance, it's like you remain on the spot. Safe driving distance means what? The distance in between the person in front of you and you. In Douala, we don't master it because, one, if you take that distance, you will discover at every given moment another car will come from behind, a bike will pass. So in reality, I think by the time we put all this in place, we will have a very good driving system. The road, we have less problem because if the road is bad, you move gently. But if we know all these things, and then we'll avoid more accidents.
It's true that accidents has become a really big thorn to the flesh of the Cameroonian government, as it is killing more than 60% of Cameroonians every year. This is the recent report, like I earlier said, made public by the Ministry of Transport. It should be noted that the head of this ministry, we're talking about the Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Ngalebibehe, has been trying in all possible means to avoid and eradicate too many accidents on the national roads and the highways. I believe no much time, it's time for us to close the curtains of today's edition of the program. Thank you very much, Mr. Jespalji, for being part of this program.
Thank you, Belvian, and thank you for all those who have made it to be part of us and who have participated in one way or another for the messages, etc. So, see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you all viewers so very much for your so many messages and calls. It's true to say this program is strictly SMS. We got so many messages because of time constraint. We can't take all of them at this particular point in time. But thank you for being fidel viewers of the program. This is a fidel, a party of discussion where we turn to talk through and exchange our views, argue the pros and cons, and wrangle over the affairs and eventualities relating to sins of the society. It was a socio-political happenings throughout this week. We talk about the dialogue which was initiated by the Cameroon government, headed by the Prime Minister and Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Diongute. We talked about the educational system in Cameroon. We also talk about accidents in Cameroon. Not forgetting economy, where we talked about the pressure and tension which is ongoing at the Port Authority of Douala. Thank you all very much for being part of the program. He was at the OJ Council. He was the direction of this program. His name is Jean-Marc Kenke. In fact, he was there behind the techniques. My name is Andite Belvian Akebe. Thank you all very much. Make sure you stay tuned to our many programs, and do not forget to take a rendezvous next week, Saturday at exactly 10:30 a.m. for another edition of Talking Point. Until then, thank you very much. Bye-bye.